Welcome to another episode of the Mark Jackson Show on the Come and Talk to Me Network. I'm Mark Jackson. This is my dynamic co-host, the incredible one, Bluu. Bluu, how about the playoff games today? Exciting brand of basketball. It was a lot of fun.
Nah, that was, man. It was some good games. I got a lot on my mind. I know you definitely do too. We got to get into it, man. It was crazy.
You want to know what's on my mind right now?
What's up?
Did you stumble onto that match, the hat and the hoodie, or you just, did you coordinate it?
Oh no. You know, I had to coordinate. You know, you lucky I didn't throw on my hood.
Oh my goodness. My goodness. Must be nice.
I seen you throw lavender on a few weeks ago, so I had to get in my bag, and I don't even think this is lavender. It's like a little purple, purple and gold. Lakers is coming back, so I just had to send a subliminal.
Okay, let's move forward. I'll leave that alone.
All right, before we get started, we got to shout out our sponsors, Underdog Fantasy. Scan the QR code in the corner. It'll take you right to the right to the site. Play the pick'em game. That's our favorite, man. So let's get right into it, man. We just watched the Mavericks and Clippers game 2. Kawhi Leonard added to the mix, which I'm not sure was a good thing tonight. What did you see in that game?
I understand the fans are the experts saying it wasn't a good thing. My question is, what do you do when your best player is healthy and whole and able to come back? You got to play him, because I'm not just playing for today. I'm playing for moving forward. And at some point, he's got to fit back into this lineup. The fortunate thing is you have a home run hitter that you're trying to fit back in. So it's going to take some time. Now, all of a sudden, you have 3 guys that's used to dominating the ball in Paul George, James Harden, and Kawhi Leonard trying to establish a rhythm. Give the Mavericks credit, though. They took care of business. They came in, made the proper adjustments, defended at a high level, competed, contained the basketball, contained the paint area, and offensively, they established rhythm and made plays when it mattered most. It was a big-time win for them. So I'm not going to say it was trying to fit in Kawhi Leonard and bring him back. The Mavericks played differently than they played in Game 1.
From the Clippers' standpoint, what was the biggest difference between Game 1 and Game 2?
They were clicking on all cylinders offensively in Game 1. James Harden established rhythm. Paul George established a rhythm. Zubac was setting screens, diving to the paint, dominating 20 and 15. They were clicking on all cylinders. Give the Mavericks credit. They defended better. They offered some resistance defensively, and they contained the basketball. And I thought they did a great job of defending without fouling. You allow those 3 guys to get to the line along with scoring, it's a different ball game. And then they do a great job of controlling the tempo and controlling the decision-making process on the offensive end by keeping the ball in their best 2 players' hands. When it's not in Luka's hands, it's in Kyrie's hand. And when it's not in Kyrie's hands, it's in Luka's hands. They minimize the amount of damage that you can do to them and make sure they get quality shots every play. Even though it looks like a tough shot, those guys are tough shot makers, so they get quality looks every trip down the floor.
I'm listening to what you're saying, and as difficult as it is, Kawhi coming back after missing 9 days straight or games straight, I'm not sure, but he's missed some time. It bothered me how much they were trying to force getting him involved, as well as James Harden has been playing, as well as Paul George has been playing. And that cast up and down, it seemed like they forced it. And I hear you saying that, what do you do in that situation? But it's 2 other superstars on that team, and it's okay for Kawhi to take his time.
Yeah, I agree with you, but it's only natural when your best player comes back. You give me Reggie Miller on the wing coming off a pin down, or Patrick Ewing on the block with his hand up. I'm going to force feed them, because I'm not looking at a injured player. I'm looking at the franchise. I'm looking at our best player in the position that I'm accustomed to him coming through in. I'm going to give him the basketball. And I thought they did try to force feed him at times, and it took it took James Harden and also Paul George and the supporting cast out of rhythm a little bit, but you're looking at the big picture. And the only way they win it all is with a healthy whole Kawhi Leonard clicking on all cylinders with the rest of the supporting cast.
Am I tripping, or for a minute were they blatantly attacking James Harden and going at him?
No, you're not tripping. And I thought James Harden, battled and competed. But it's the game plan. It's the strategy. It's the right decision to attack him the same way you would attack a guy, in that position That's not his strong point. They attacked him, they tried to take advantage, and they won the battle. But I don't care who it is. You can put a great defender on Luka or Kyrie. At some point, that great defender is going to be attacked. And we're going to try to put you in uncomfortable situations and allow us to get good offense off of it. And give the Mavericks credit. I tell you what we don't talk about enough. I've seen it up close in battles with Cleveland and Golden State. The great Steph Curry. I've seen Kyrie Irving battle, compete, and defend. I've seen him have tremendous game plan discipline against Steph Curry. I watched him in game 2 with the Mavs and the Clippers, and he guarded James Harden much more than he did in game 1. Offered some resistance, was active with his hands, stayed connected to his body. It was a difference maker because he didn't allow James Harden to get too comfortable. I thought in game 1, Harden was comfortable. Kyrie Irving doesn't get enough credit for his defensive intensity, his game plan discipline, and another guy in Luka Doncic. We talk about how he defends like James Harden. We kill him and say he doesn't compete. In game 2, he took it personal. And he will never be one of the greatest defenders ever played, but he took pride on the defensive end and inspired his entire team with his energy and effort.
Yeah, I love the fact that even, I don't know if you had a chance to see it, but in his post-game interview, he touched on that a little bit and said how people have talked about his defense and said what they're going to say, but he competes. I love his attitude on the defensive end. Even though it's not his strong suit, he competes. Similar to a Steph Curry, similar to a Kyrie Irving, where, okay, this is not my strong suit, but you're not going to walk all over me.
Great point. And I actually saw when he said that in the post-game interview, and I rewound it because from a coaching standpoint, I didn't like the part that he said this ain't the regular season. What do you mean? You just chilling in the regular season defensively, though? I need you to give me the same type of effort and energy that you gave me tonight. Don't hold out on me. But to his credit, he responded when they needed most against 4 guys that's first ballot Hall of Famers and 3 that's special even today on the offensive end. He took the challenge, made some big-time steals, made a big-time block shot, and ultimately made a big-time, find for offense to close out the ballgame.
Well, Luka's not the only one that's having a shift in mentality for playoffs. I'm watching the refs go from calling the games one way during the regular season to calling it a total different way during the playoffs. And it's seemingly throwing off a lot of these stars. What do you say to the way that the refs have been calling these games?
2 things I'll say. One is make the adjustments if you're the player. I don't care what game I went into. I didn't treat it like it was the last game because it's a different refereeing crew and they're going to referee differently. They're going to have point of emphasis and then they're going to, play off of that. So I got to understand if a referee is calling touch fouls offensively, if they're calling, brush screens, if they're calling illegal contact, if they're allowing me to be a little bit more handsy as a defender, whatever way they're refereeing the game, I got to make the proper adjustments and trust that they will be consistent. That one thing I want them to be all game long. They don't have to be great. I want them to be consistent. So whatever way you're calling it, call it both ways for 48 minutes. The second point, and probably my most important point, what I don't need and I'm tired of, and probably one of the reasons I'm not calling games anymore, the last 2-minute report. I don't need a Philadelphia Knicks series that you come out and say 3 or 4 mistakes were made by referees, wrong calls, fouls not called, timeouts not called. The last 2-minute report identifying that. I hold players accountable for mistakes. I hold coaches accountable for mistakes. I'm going to hold referees accountable for mistakes. That's absolutely inexcusable because now you have a team down 2-0 instead of 1-1 going back home. It's a game changer and it's unacceptable.
I know I got a comment on because I've been seeing it too. It's got to be tough to do your job as a ref with the level of complaining and nagging that goes on from these coaches, man. The whole game, they on the ref's back. What's
Are
up
you
with
serious?
This? Was that you when you were coaching? Was you the whole time stepping out the coaching box? Stay in the coaching box, man. What's going on?
Is that me as a dad? Is that me as a dad? That's not my MO. No, that's not me. But what I will say is, at the end of the day, you get paid to do the job. Imagine bringing the ball up the floor and Charles Oakley yelling at you and Patrick Ewing demanding the basketball saying, get me the rock, or Reggie Miller coming off a floppy screen saying you missed me, or Jalen Rode on the opposite side saying, why are you going to him and not to me? I need some touches. We all go through the same thing. We had a communication during the course of the ball game. We paid the big bucks. We're there when the lights are brightest for a reason because we're elite at our jobs. Can't imagine me working with Jeff Van Gundy next to me, running his mouth and rolling his eyes, or Mike Breen complaining and trying to cover the referees. I still had to do my job. So I expect the referees, no matter what the situation is, to do their job. A 4-point play. Years ago, I'm with the Pacers. Larry Johnson elevates. It's clearly a foul on the ground. It's a 4-point play. It's a mistake made. You now all of a sudden potentially have stripped Reggie Miller's legacy because he's not known as a champion today because of a call like that. So it affects you not just for that night, but moving forward. Let's get the calls right and let's hold everybody accountable. That don't mean they're bad, but you had a bad moment. If you're a player, if you're a coach, if you're a referee, be better.
All right, game 3, heading back to Dallas. What does Jason Kidd emphasize for his Mavericks team?
It's no secret. It's not rocket science. I don't have to do anything special or bring up a certain equation, that scientific theory that puts us in position to win. We know how we're going to beat this team. We just exhibited it in game 2. We're going to execute with Luka and Kyrie. We're going to get great supporting cast, energy, and effort, whether it means scoring in P.J. Washington's situation or Derek Jones' defense or timely knockdown shots. But we're going to defend. We're going to contain the basketball. We're going to execute offensively, and we're going to thrive off the energy and the effort in the building because it's different in our building now. We took care of what we were supposed to take care of. We won a game in LA. Now let's take care of our home games, and now let's go back to LA 3-1 with an opportunity to close out. But understand, we can't underestimate this team, and we have to understand that we didn't stumble onto the victory. We took a victory with our intensity, our competitive spirit, our defense, and our game plan discipline on both sides of the floor.
A game plan is a game plan until we see vintage Kawhi Leonard. So is game 3 just as simple as Kawhi shaking off the dust for the Los Angeles Clippers?
It could be, but it also could be good defense by the Dallas Mavericks. Derek Jones is an outstanding defender with great size and length and ability to disrupt. Now, I'll take the offense of Kawhi Leonard over Derek Jones' defense, but the job is to not allow him to be comfortable. And because he's bouncing back from injury, you may be more effective at doing exactly that. The bottom line is, if you're the Clippers, the mindset is to get Kawhi Leonard going, and in the meantime and in between time, allow James Harden and Paul George to be effective on the offensive end. And if you're the Dallas Mavericks, by all means necessary, don't allow him to take over the game. Keep him out of rhythm, and don't allow him to gain rhythm when the series is over with in the summertime. We at UCLA, you can have all the rhythm you want. But my job is to make sure that you don't become the best player in this series.
Game 3 isn't until Friday, so I need to know, as a coach, are you resting this team? Are we practicing? Are we just getting together and having a conversation? We watching film? What's going on these next few days?
Which team are you talking about?
Let's start with the Clippers. Well,
truthfully, both teams. No, I'm not. We're not practicing. This is April. This is late April going into May. The demand has been put on their bodies physically, and the demand has been put on their bodies mentally and emotionally. We're going to come in. We're going to watch film. We're going to make the proper adjustments. We're going to go on the court. We're going to walk through situations, maybe offensively, what we need to do, maybe the sets we're going to run mostly, and what we're looking to capitalize on the way that we're being defended. We're going to walk through how Luka and Kyrie is impacting the game, the 3 or 4 or 5 sets that they run, and getting those guys touches, and how we're going to defend it, and what we're willing to live with our defensive principles, and how we're going to defend it, and what we're not willing to live with. We're going to make sure that the guys that's the supporting cast, now those guys may play 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3. Some of those guys are going to get up shots. Everybody's going to get up shots, but we're not going to put a toll on the physical body the next 2 days. We're going to make sure that we're mentally, physically, and emotionally ready and prepared for a huge game in Dallas. I think that's the mentality for both teams. We're going to watch film, we're going to study, we're going to be prepared, and we're going to make the proper adjustments, but we're not going to practice hard. Now, the difference is, I don't mean to cut you off. The difference is, back in my days, we coming in at one of these days, we actually going an hour. We're going to scrimmage, which was foolish. But we were actually
scrimmaging.
We scrimmaged at some point during that hour. The second unit was running. If I was the Mavericks coach or the Mavericks player, the second unit of the Clippers was running Luka. Somebody was Luka, some was Kyrie, and we was defending that action 5-on-5 live and then pushing it and running our own offense, which was foolish. You think about it, but that's a different time. To their credit, they got smarter and wiser, and they don't do that anymore.
Y'all used to just do stuff just to do it, man. Y'all was just doing extra stuff. Why were y'all scrimmaging in a playoff series? For what?
I didn't say I was the coach. I was the player. I was following instructions. It made no sense. But I tell you what it did. Outside of getting hurt, it kept us sharp, it kept us engaged, and it kept us on top of situations.
All right, man. The Suns did not listen to you, Coach. They didn't come out and listen to your game plan that you laid down. They lost to the Timberwolves tonight. We know about Ant-Man. That's my guy. I love him. But tell us about Jaden McDaniels.
Long, athletic, and so improved from the time he came into the league to today. So improved offensively. He's comfortable. You think about it. He made moves like grown man moves against Kevin Durant, bodying him in the paint, going by him, attacking him. He's so improved offensively, and he has everything else. The size, the length. He's an ideal 3-and-D guy. He was spectacular in the performance in Game 2 for the Minnesota Timberwolves. He was absolutely spectacular, and it was much needed impact on the offensive end with Anthony Edwards struggling offensively. He was the aggressor. Karl-Anthony Towns struggling. He came out 25 big points and defended at a high level. So it was a complete game for Jaden McDaniels. Awfully impressive. And I was happy to see it because in these situations, you fall in love with the home run hitters. You fall in love with the franchise players. A lot of these times, it's the for lack, I'm not being disrespectful, for lack of a better term, it's the role players that show up and show out and wind up being lifelong heroes to these franchises. And Jaden McDaniels did exactly that in Game 2. Think about this guy is going against Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal and embracing the challenge, embracing it, and he has responded emphatically.
So what else did you see? What else did you like from the Timberwolves tonight?
I'm glad you asked. I like the competitive spirit. I like that they went after it. I like the fact that they attacked the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns, this just in, looked soft. They wanted no parts of it. I remember going down an alley one day with my boy, and we saw some guys coming on the other side. I looked back, my boy was gone. He left. He wanted no parts of what we were about to encounter. And I never spoke to him again. He got exposed by what was in front of us. And right now, the Phoenix Suns got to respond. They have gotten exposed. Bad habits all season long, soft at times, undisciplined at times, no fight at times, relying on natural talent. And the Minnesota Timberwolves got their foot on the gas pedal. And they believe that they're the best team in the series. And if Phoenix doesn't respond with better force, they're going home. Now, they are more than capable of doing it. But I am disappointed in them being down 2-0. I picked them to win this series, and they have disappointed me.
Yeah, man. They swag is, you're right. They playing soft, man. They swag is like IG models and bottle girls, man. They swag is just like no, it's all cuteness. It's just they look good and they, like you said, their skill level is there. But where's the grit? Where's the I'm going at you, I'm getting dirty tonight? Nah, man. They want to look the look and be fly. And it's showing that the Timberwolves are willing to do those things that separate them. And I'm not excited for what the Suns got coming, man. It's looking ugly right now.
I remember losing to a New York Knicks team without Patrick Ewing. And it still haunts me today because we were the better team when they had Patrick, but we were clearly the better team when they didn't have him. So you give away a series, you give away an opportunity to advance, you give away an opportunity to perhaps win a championship when a team is shorthanded or when you're better than them, it frustrates you. And it's something that you hold on to the rest of your life. It's unfortunate. And if you're the Phoenix Suns, you have the home run talent. You were clearly picked to be ahead of the Minnesota Timberwolves during the regular season, and you were clearly one of the teams that people picked to win it all. This is disappointing, and it's an ugly fashion in which to be eliminated. They must respond, but they are being exposed right now across the board.
Now, I was watching a game, and it seemed like Karl-Anthony Towns was playing a different type of game. Fastest to 6 fouls. He got in foul trouble early. He got in foul trouble early and was unable to impact the game in his usual way. But what do you do to get him involved? It seemed like this dude is just shooting threes out there.
He's a three-point shooter, so he's a legitimate guy that should be shooting threes. But I got to also, two things, call him in the office and say, I got to do a better job. If KD is going to defend you, I got to get you some touches on the block. I got to get you some situations where you can take advantage of that matchup. And then I'm going to hold him accountable. If I'm going to play you with 2 fouls, you can't recklessly run down the lane and jump over somebody's back. There are certain guys that you can trust with 2, 3 fouls, 4 fouls, and Karl-Anthony Towns is not one of them. And that's not my fault. That's your fault. I need you to make the proper adjustment and force me to trust you by proving the fact that you're going to play disciplined basketball. But he cannot allow them to defend him with smaller guys, especially when Anthony Edwards is not playing offensively the way he's capable of playing. It's a 1-2 punch. They need him to be better offensively, be more impactful. I like the other things he's doing, but we need him in uniform and in between those lines.
Yeah, it was messed up because one dude made his coach look like a genius and one dude made his coach look like a fool because Kevin Durant played with 2 fouls in the first quarter also.
But historically, I can trust Kevin Durant with 2 fouls. And historically, I cannot trust Karl-Anthony Towns with 2 fouls. I've seen plenty of times, if it wasn't going to be that jumping over the back recklessly, it would have been flailing into somebody, hooking them, and getting an offensive foul. He's just a guy that as a coach, I have to understand when he gets to that point, I can't put him in position to pick up another foul. He's too valuable to me, and I gotta make sure he's around when the game matters most.
All right, aside from the Suns playing soft as tissue paper, cotton balls out here, what other adjustments can they make?
I would like to see, the same way I said that Karl-Anthony Towns got to take advantage with Kevin Durant guarding him. 20 to 25, 30 times I saw Karl-Anthony Towns or Rudy Gobert defending Kevin Durant. I'm bringing them in the office. That can't happen. You should feel as disrespected as I feel when I look at that. Kevin Durant, they're defending you with Karl-Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert comfortably and not trying to get the ball out of your hands. They're living with the results. I'm going to do a better job as a coach, maybe a quick pen down, catch the ball, foul line extended, now one-on-one, time to dance until they make the adjustment. They got to put these guys in better position to win the matchups. Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and then we got to match their intensity. So before I get to talking about any individual matchups, before I get to talk about how we're going to get guys going, let's work on matching their intensity. And then everything else will take care of itself. We're the better basketball team with the better basketball players, but we got to show it. They got life now. It's a different animal. 2 games ago, we was fighting a young, inexperienced team. Now we're fighting a team that feel like world beaters, and they rightly believe that they're a better basketball team than us. They proved it over the course of two games.
All right, earlier today, we watched your Pacers take care of the Bucks. We know about Dame time, but I got to ask you, man, is it time for PASCAL time? What did we watch today? It's a new man on the block, Pascal Siakam. What did you see in that game?
He's an outstanding player, and we certainly understand when the lights get brightest, he's not afraid. We saw him win a title in Toronto as a guy that was attacking and making plays and scoring and mid-range shot and crossovers in transition. He has the entire package offensively, and he's comfortable when he's confident and getting downhill. He was special in Game 2 in Milwaukee and came up with a big victory. 37 points, 11 rebounds, shared the basketball, demanded the basketball, and made plays all game long. They needed to respond offensively and defensively, and he was the guy that led the charge. It was awfully impressive what he did. And we've said all along, he was an all-star. We said all along, he's one of the most underrated players in basketball. Give the Pacers credit. They checked the box by his name. They went and made a trade for him, and they became a better basketball team immediately. He takes the pressure off Halliburton from being special every possession or every game, and he can be the best player in a series no matter who they face. It was a special night for him.
Yeah, looking at just the impact of these players, the Raptors have some good players on their team these last couple of years. I'm looking at OG playing great. I'm looking at PASCAL cooking.
Kyle Lowry, veteran leadership.
Yeah, man. It's no surprise them dudes won a championship.
It wasn't a fluke.
All right, they're saying Giannis is getting closer to coming back with his left calf strain. Sitting in the coach's chair as Doc Rivers, how do you deal with the fact that I don't want my star to get injured again? I want him to be in the best situation. How do you move forward knowing that he's coming off of this injury?
Well, we don't know how serious it was, how severe it was, and we don't know how it is today, what the experts are saying as far as the recovery process. What we do know is that's not an easy injury to bounce back from. Fortunately for me, 17 years in the pros, 4 years in college, 4 years in high school, in my entire life, I never experienced that. But I've watched guys talk about it, football players and basketball players, talk about how it's tough to bounce back from it and how you got to allow the recovery process to play itself out before you rush back. Because if you rush back, you find yourself exposing yourself for worse. So the main thing they got to do is protect Giannis from rushing back. Even though the pressure's on him, even though the pressure's on Milwaukee, even though the pressure's on me as a head coach if I'm Doc Rivers, you got to make sure that you take care of him and bring him back when he's right by listening to the experts. And I'd buy him time. I wouldn't bring him back in game 3, that's for sure. Because what you don't want to see is a Kevin Durant situation where his calf is uncomfortable and then is compromised and something worse happens. I'm not wishing that or speaking that on Giannis, but you have to use wisdom and listen to the experts.
Have you ever had a calf strain?
No, never. Thank God. But I've been around guys that did, and it's a serious injury, and it could have it can have a lingering effect on you moving forward.
Yeah, it's no joke, man. It's tough to play through a calf strain. It locks you down.
Have you had it?
Yeah, it locks you down. It's tough. I don't know what his level of calf strain is, but I agree he shouldn't come back for game 3, especially knowing that we have time in the series to let you get healed up in 100% or as close to 100% as possible.
True.
I know if the Pacers and Knicks advance, we might have to take the show on the road, man. Might have to do a road show or something.
You trying to get a trip out of it. I see what you're doing.
You know?
I see what you're doing with your matching hoodie and hat. You're going to be acting a swag on 1,000 in New York.
You kidding me with us at Madison Square Garden for the Pacers? What you mean? I got to get a different type of beanie. You're going to see a beanie you ain't seen before that day. Crazy. So it's time to give our nightly award. You already know what time it is. I need to know who gets the Mama, There Goes That Man award tonight. Who is it, Pops?
A lot of exciting, extra special performances. I thought about it. I probably narrowed it down to 3 guys: Luka Doncic, Pascal Siakam, Jaden McDaniels. All deserve it. But tonight I'm going with the guy. I'm going with Pascal Siakam. I'm going with him. 37 and 11. His team fighting for their playoff lives. Down 1-0. You don't want to go down 2-0. He put them on his back, made plays, set the tone, and had his foot on the gas pedal all night long. A special performance by a special guy. And I'm sure at some point Luka will win it. So I was leaning Jaden McDaniels, but I have to give Pascal Siakam tonight's Mama. There goes that man.
All right, Siakam, there you go. That wouldn't have been my choice before. That wouldn't have been a guess before tonight's game that he would get the Mama There Goes That Man award. But he did it tonight. He did his thing.
Deserve it.
Yeah.
We don't play politics here. We give it to the person that deserves it. And
I know that's right. All right, Coach Mark's whistle is needed, man. We need you. We need you, Coach. It's some underdogs that are going on. There's some underdogs that are playing this week coming up. Excuse me. I need to know what Coach Mark has to say to these teams. So you ready?
I guess so.
All right, I guess so. What the?
No, I'm shocked how you flipped in there. There's some underdogs playing off underdog fantasy. That was nice. I
You know,
see what you did.
you see what I do. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
see.
You gotta keep the lights on.
It didn't go
We
unnoticed.
got to shout out underdog. All right, so here we go. What would Coach Mark say if he was in the Miami Heat locker room before they face the powerhouse Boston Celtics?
I would say people have picked the Boston Celtics to not only win this series, but to win the championship. And guess what? I was doing TV for 20 years. I called 15 NBA finals. They called me an expert. And if I was picking, I'd pick them against us too, fellas, quite honestly. But I've been wrong before. I've been wrong before. And guess what? I'd be wrong if I did that, because I believe we got guys that have faced bigger challenges than being down 1-0 to the favorites. I believe we got a bunch of guys in there that come from places. There's nobody that dreamed of you being in this position. But somehow you fought, you scratched, you clawed, and you found your way playing against the number 1 seed Boston Celtics. This is your chance. You've done it before. Now let's duplicate it by taking care of business against this big, daunted challenge in the Boston Celtics.
I like that. All right, I might have to go put a dollar bill on the Heat. I might have to go put a dollar on the Heat. I like that. All right. On paper, the Pelicans have a tough matchup against the OKC Thunder. What do you say as a coach with this young team, or this veteran team going up against this young team, to spur them and encourage them before this game?
We got to be better. It came down to one play. We needed one stop. And we're not built on the offensive end of the floor, even though we're special offensively. We got some special talents offensively, but we prepared ourselves all season long to do it on the defensive end. And if you ask me down the stretch, gave me a preference to score or get a stop because of our principles, because of our beliefs, I would say get a stop. Put us in that position again, fellas, and we wind up with a victory. They made the shot. They made the play. It's a make or miss lead. We're down 1-0. But we are more than capable of taking care of business in Oklahoma City and buying our guy, Zion, time to get healthy and whole when we can be a nightmare for anybody that we face. Let's take care of business in game 2. Let's continue to keep our foot on the gas pedal by being aggressive offensively and give ourselves a chance to go back home 1-1 with all the momentum and all the rhythm.
That's right, man. That's good right there. I like that. All right. We're going to take a second and thank our sponsors, Underdog Fantasy. Click the QR code in the corner. It'll take you right to the site and play the pick'em game. That's our favorite. Side note, day 11 with Kendrick Lamar not responding to Drake. We still waiting, dog, so come through.
That's a wrap for the Mark Jackson Show. I'm Mark Jackson. This is my guy, Bluu, the co-host on the Come and Talk to Me Network. Thank you so much for your love and support. Remember, I've been watching playoff games the last couple of days, engulfed in them, enjoying them, and I learned something. You're feeling pressure. You don't want to make a mistake. You take an illegal hit. The noise gets loud. Make sure you call a timeout. You think I'm talking about a playoff team. I'm talking about you. You've taken a hit. Things got a little loud. You've got frustrated. A timeout gives you an opportunity to relax, recover, regroup, and strategize. It can be the difference between a major win or a disappointing loss. Use your timeouts. Blessings.